Hello everyone, welcome back to Ramon at Home. I'm so excited you're here today because in this video, I'm gonna share with you how to create a beautiful statement on your front door, making a wreath step by step. This is gonna be a little bit on the countryside, but you can always replace any of the items for whatever you are making this year for your front door, and all you have to do is follow the steps. So I'm gonna use one of these grapevine wreaths. It's an 18-inch grapevine wreath. I'm also gonna use a variety of picks. Some long ones will be cutting, some premium ones that will be taking off apart, as well as this really fun one that I love with the red berries. I'm gonna use a piece of garland. I'm also going to use some burlap ribbon and some buffalo check ribbon. I'm gonna use this really fun jingle bell poinsettias. I'm going to also use some of this beautiful deco material that almost looks like mesh. Some of these berries that have some flocking in it. I'm gonna use some wires and florist tape, and I just wanna mention that over here is my little cup with all of my tools that I'm gonna leave right here because I like to have all of my tools at the ready. All right, so before we get started, I wanted to remind you, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up because they are free and that really helps the channel. Before I get started, I'm gonna clear up. I'm going to get all this situated and I'll be right back with you. Keep watching. Okay, so step number one in creating a beautiful wreath for your front door is going to be to prep it. And to do that, I'm gonna grab an 18 gauge wire, actually it's a 22, and also my florist tape. And you guys know that I like to cover my wires with this waxy tape that you can find at any local craft store. You can find it at Hobby Lobby. Actually, even Walmart has some of this florist tape. And what you do is you put your tape right here on your finger, you start raveling your wire, you pull back down, because when you pull down is when it becomes tacky. It has this wax that allows it to become tacky, and then the reason of all of this is so when you pull it through, it doesn't hurt your fingers. I have hurt my fingers before, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this wire right here, about a quarter of it down. Oh, it went through my ring. That's so funny. All right, so I'm gonna go down, then I'm gonna grab and go up, and I'm going to throw these two together like this to create a loop. Then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go back down again, and this is where it becomes tricky because you have to create a loop for your door hanger. This is where we are going to be hanging our wreath from. As you guys can see, there's a loop right here, so that's where you hang it from. If this was my door hanger, I just set it right there. But the purpose of the video, I'm gonna make it like this. I do have to put it down because this is going to go on my shop. I wanna show you how you make it, and then if you want to visit my shop, you'll be able to. I'll tell you more about that later. But because I want it to be very substantial, if you guys are making this to sell or to give away, you want to do it the proper way. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add a garland right about here, and you'll see in a second why. And then I'm gonna grab some of my black zip ties, and I'm going to go through the grapevine wreath, and I'm going to start attaching this garland on place. And sometimes these things go the other way. You know, they have to go the right way so you can pull on them. So you go like that, really tight, and then I'm gonna grab my wire cutters and I'm going to cut right here. And I'm gonna do about 4 points. You know, when I talk about points, they are the points of attachment. That's where you're going to insert your zip tie and attach into the grapevine, because we're gonna use this to attach other items. Think about having a wreath, a PVC wreath that is just bristles. Well, in this occasion, I want this look right here because it's gonna be a little bit more on the countryside. So I wanted to have that rustic look to it. And I don't wanna say country, more like rustic. It's gonna be a little bit more rustic looking, and I'll explain in a minute why. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna attach my third point right here. And as you guys can see, it's super easy. All you have to do is pull that zip tie back onto the vine and then pull really tight, as tight as you can, because you don't want it to come crashing down on you. And you want it to look kind of like a groove from it. All right, so now we're gonna fluff our PVC a little bit, like this, so it looks intentional. So now what I'm going to do, step number 2 is going to add our mesh. So step number 1, prepping our wreath form for attachment, and now we're going to attach all of our items. And I'm gonna start with this gorgeous material that is like a deco mesh, but look how pretty this is. It looks like burlap, and for that, what I'm going to do, I'm gonna let it drop on the floor. I didn't want to do that, but should I do it on the table? No, I'm gonna let it drop on the floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna attach right here like this, and then I'm gonna go back because you don't wanna see this right here on the bottom. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna attach the first loop and fold it like this. Then using two of these PVCs, what you're going to do is you're going to attach like that and just fluff this guy right here. And now what we're going to do is we're gonna do loops about, I wanna say probably about 5 inches. You don't want them to be too poofy. You don't want it to be too poofy because you don't want all the items that we're gonna put on top of this to get lost. So once again, another 5 inches, and look how that is changing the look of our grapevine, but this is going to also be helpful to attach other items. So what I'm going to do is continue going down, doing 5-inch loops. Look how pretty that is. I love how rustic this mesh material is. It is soft to the touch. It doesn't really cling on to anything. Most mesh materials cling on to, even this shirt will be clinging on to it, and sometimes it just will unravel the threads and it's just not a good look. Let me put it that way. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna continue making this and I'll be right back to show you the next step. Keep watching. All right, you guys, so as you guys can see, I put this on the table because I have to go back the other way, so it looks very intentional, and I didn't wanna cut the mesh. If you cut the mesh, you have to start over by flipping, and as you guys can see, just by flipping right here, I was able to have a finished look without having to cut this mesh. This mesh is really affordable. Actually, I was shocked to see how affordable it is. If you know, I'm for the first time I'm doing these wreaths for sale. You guys can visit my Etsy shop. I'm gonna leave a link down below so you can see all the wreaths that I have there. But I have known a lot of people, actually I have top people who make this for sale. And when you sell your wreaths, you want to make sure that they are perfectly finished and then they're not gonna come crashing down on your customers, even if you make them to give away. And so I always tell people, you know, it takes a little bit longer to do it the right way, but it's going to last a long time versus us just trying to make it really quick because we want to be quick. So that's not how it works. So you have to be very intentional, especially if you are making them for your shop like I am this time. All right, so I have come to the end. So now I'm going to cut right here and I'm going to show you another trick real quick. So because I couldn't fold right here, so what we're going to do is we're gonna fold this in half, and let me move this bristle real quick like this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my scissors, and with the end of my scissors, I'm just gonna push that in to my form, and you won't see it, so it looks finished right now. All right, let me get ready for the next step, and I'll be right back. All right, so far we've prepped our wreath form. We added the garland and also this beautiful mesh material that covers some of that greenery. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make our gorgeous bow. And for that, I'm going to need our wire to be covered one more time. And you know, you can do this all at once at first if you want to. I like to make it as I go because it kind of keeps me on kind of like a schedule of the things that I'm doing. But as I mentioned to you before, creating a first impression always starts at the door, you guys. So whether it is for Christmas or whether it is for fall or spring or summer, a beautiful wreath or swag on your front door can make a difference. I love driving by people's homes and seeing their wreaths on the door because to me it really means like they are ready to greet somebody at the door. So that's why I love to teach how to make beautiful wreaths and swags here on my YouTube channel. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to make a beautiful bow, and I've selected this pretty burlap ribbon that I'm going to drop on the floor. And I like to start with, actually, you know what? I'm lying to you. I'm going to start with I'm going to put that one right here. I'm going to start with the smallest ribbon, which is going to be this one right here. And always start by dovetailing your ribbon because it is more convenient if you just do that than having to go back to dovetail. So I'm going to give it probably about 5 inches. And then you're gonna pinch. I wanna do about 6-inch loops. So I'm gonna pinch right here one more time. And then I'm going to twist. This one I won't have to twist because it's printed on both sides, but I always just get on the habit of doing it. So that way when you have a ribbon that you have to twist, you don't forget, because if you don't do the twisting, then you don't get the beautiful printed side on the top. All right, so as you guys can see, I have 2. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna actually do, I'm gonna do 4 of each, like that. And then I'm gonna twist, I'm gonna bring it back up. And I'm gonna cut this one right here, I'm gonna give it a tail like that. So now I'm gonna introduce my burlap, and I'm gonna start with a tail as well. And you put it right under the other one, and then you start pinching like that. And I'm going to go under and right about the same, maybe a little bit longer, but just a little bit, so there can be a variation. So then I'm gonna do that one more time. I'm going to pinch like that. And then I'm going to twist. And now what you need to do when you twist is you go to the other side. So that way you create the bow. You have to start creating the bow. So that way when you go to attach and fluff, you don't have to really wrestle. You can still do it, but you're really gonna have to wrestle your ribbon. All right, so I'm gonna stop right here. My boss used to say, stop while you're ahead. And I have quite a lot of ribbon that I'm going to be using to make some other tails. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put it to the side. And now I'm going to attach this with a zip tie, because if you attach it with a zip tie, it really stays together versus with a wire, it can come undone. And so what we're going to do is we're gonna drive a zip tie like this and just pull really, really tight until you can pull no longer, no further. And so now what you need to do is you need to start fluffing this bow like this, like this. Make sure that you're really pulling them so it looks intentional. And before I attach it, what I'm going to do is dovetail all these ends, make sure they look pretty and finished. This is a smaller size bow because we're going to attach some tails in a minute that I'm going to show you. There's going to be a lot of bows, but to begin with, we want to start with just a smaller bow to kind of have a focal point. So now that we have our pretty bow like this, I'm going to grab that wire that I taped, and I'm going to go back and make sure that I have about the same on both sides, and I'm gonna give it a really tight spin to it. And now I'm going to attach my bow right about here. I want it to be not in the middle, not on the top. So probably about, what time you say this is, Jamison? About 10 o'clock, maybe? 10 o'clock, so you put it right about 10 o'clock. Thumbs up for Jamison, who's been my cameraman today, yay! I told him I needed help because sometimes when I'm trying to shoot multiple videos in a day, like I am today, you guys, because Christmas season is here, we have to be fast. So thumbs up for Jamison. All right, so now that you have spin all of this like this, once again, what you need to do is put that right here, and with your scissors, you want to get rid of the excess of that wire, and just push it right there into your form, and you will never see it. That way, in case you had to unattach your bow, you have that wire. If you were to cut it, you'd have to start over with a bow. All right, so now I'm gonna split these two right here. As you guys can see, it's a sweet little bow, but there's going to be more. Don't worry about it, there's gonna be more. I just wanted to have a focal point right here. I'm gonna put that up a little bit. I need to have a focal point to where things are going to radiate from, and then later on, we're gonna go back and attach more bows. You guys will see how beautiful this will look at the end. All right, so now I'm gonna get all of my greeneries ready, and I'll be right back to give you the next step, so keep watching. All right, you guys, so I have 3 different types of greenery. I have this really long one that I'm gonna be cutting down. I have this gorgeous one with all of these mixed beautiful pines and greeneries and stems that I'm gonna take apart, and then I have one that I already pre-cut because I wanna show you the whole step. So I'm gonna put this right here. And then I also brought out my beautiful pick machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this one right here, and I'm just going to cut them off of the stem. These usually have a cut where you're supposed to cut, and so I just go with that because I'm going to pick it anyway, so might as well just follow the pattern on this stem right here. And when you have a long stem like this, you want to save these ones because we might have another project later on. All right, so then what you do is these long one, even the long ones right here, have a cut where they would like you to cut to make multiple look instead of having just one long one. And I'm gonna look for the other long one right here. I'm gonna show you again. It has this cut right under. It's like a joint, and then you cut it, and now you have 4 instead of 2. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's good to know how many you have. That way you know how many you have to insert. So we're gonna start with the top, and I'm going to pick my, I'm gonna move my cup right there. Pick my stem. As you guys can see, it gives you that steel pick, and I'm gonna get my hot glue gun closer to me so that I can work. And so what I like to do is just put a lot of glue and let it run down, and I'm gonna start right here on the top. I'm gonna lift my bow and I'm gonna drive through. Just make sure the dust go on the form so it doesn't detach from it, and it's gonna last a long time. A lot of people have asked me, Ramon, do you like hot glue gun or hot glue pellets? I'm gonna be honest with you, I like them both. But for wreaths, because they are for sale, you wanna use a hot glue gun because it dries clear. If you're trying to bond to something that is not visible, then of course the hot glue pen is best for you. But as for me, for this particular project, I like the gun because it doesn't show if it dries, to where the hot glue pen, it just dries yellow. And especially I've seen people work where they put it on white, like on flux, and it just looks awful. Awful. So what you need to do, remember, what happens on the left happens on the right, and what goes up must come down. So I added 2 right here, and then I went ahead and added 2 right here. I'm gonna add 1 coming down because we're gonna put some tails into these wreaths. I'm into this type of wreath right now, you guys. If you go to my shop, you'll see a lot of the wreaths that have a bow and then tails going down. It almost looks like a swag, and I just think they're so beautiful. They're so simple and elegant at the same time. And see how they're coming from the same? And now I'm gonna put the last one over here, and I'm gonna save 2 because you guys know that I like to save 2 for the end. All right, we're gonna add 1 last one right here, going with the motion. So now time to explain something real quick. You have your bow right here. This is your core. That's what everything needs to radiate from. If you go down, you have to go all in one direction. If you go up, you have to go all in one direction. And I'll explain more about that as we go, but that's the way that it's going to radiate, okay? All right, so now we're gonna go back to our bows. I'm gonna get my ribbons back into the picture and I'll be right back. We'll add the rest of this in 1 second. Okay, 2 things. Remember I told you we're gonna continue with the bow, and so now is the time to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my wooden stakes with a wire. These you can find at any local craft store. I'm gonna get 2 because I'm most likely gonna need 2. So I'm gonna grab 2 of those, and you can find them at Hobby Lobby, or I think even Walmart. It's a floral supply, or your florist. You can always go to your local florist. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab this guy right here, and then I'm gonna grab my other check ribbon, and yes, the shirt was intentional, and I'm gonna layer them like this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna measure probably about 18 inches, probably 20 inches, and then I'm going to cut just because it'll be easier to manipulate than if we had, you know what, no, I'm gonna do it the hard way. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put it flat like this, then I'm gonna grab one of my stakes, put it on my hand, and I'm going to pinch right here. I'm going to introduce this stake right here, and then I'm going to swirl this really tight into my stake. That's what these are for, all right? So now I'm going to add a little bit of glue right here where the wire is, so it kind of glues in together. And what I'm going to is I'm gonna grab some glue and just smear it on my stake, and I'm going to go right here without trying not to burn myself, which I have in the past. I'm gonna introduce that stake going up into the form. So now I have my tails like this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a big loop, and then I'm going to go back in. I'm going to pinch, and with those bristles, that's why I put that garland in there, you guys. So that way you can manipulate. Grabbing my garland, I'm going to twist like this, and that's gonna stay right there. And I'm gonna cut right here. So I'm gonna cut 1 tail, 2 tails, and I'm going to, of course, dovetail so it looks finished. Look how cute this is. Look at that. And because this is a thinner ribbon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it again. So now once again, I'm gonna grab my burlap ribbon, and then I'm going to grab my ribbon, my plat ribbon, grab my stake with a wire. I saw the stake with a wire and I said wire. Isn't that funny how the brain works? You swirl this around really tight. You grab your hot glue gun and put a little bit just there on the joint to glue it all together, and then you want to add, I'm gonna get my little dish closer. Smear it all over the place. Now we're gonna lift right here, and we're gonna go about the same point, and we're going to go up into the form like that. Ow, ow, ow. All right, and you want to pinch right here once again. And now I'm going to go right here. And then I'm going to twist like this. Look how cool that is. See, I told you that the bow would continue. And so now for this one, I'm gonna cut it maybe a little bit shorter than the other ones. And we'll dovetail in a second. But I decided that I'm also going to do one going on the top, because what goes up must come down. Remember, whatever you do on the bottom, you do on the top, and whatever you do on the left, you do on the right. If you want your wreath or arrangement or Christmas tree or swag or whatever it is that you're doing to be balanced, right? So once again, you swirl all of this. We add just a little bit of glue. Now, these are the things that I learned, you guys, working as a florist for over 15 years. Yes, I worked as a florist for 15 years, and now I get to show you and teach you all the tricks of the trade. All right, so we're gonna push that into the form. So now I have my ribbons, and I'm going to pinch right here. This is the hard one because you have to do it upside down. Let me see. And then I'm going to grab my bristles at the very end, and I'm going to attach all of this together like that. And then I'm gonna cut some tails on this side. I'm gonna cut like that, we'll take care of that. So now first I'm gonna dovetail these guys a little shorter. You want them to stagger up, so like that. And then I'm gonna dovetail this one. Look how cute that is. Of course, we're not even done yet, but all right, so now we're gonna do this one. We're gonna do them both at the same time, right? The wrong way, like that. We'll be back to fluff at the end, but look how cute this is, you guys. All right, so now it looks like the bow has continued, and then we're gonna add some tails at the end, but we'll get to that in a second. So now I'm gonna get the rest of my florals and my greenery ready, and I'll be right back. Keep watching. Okay, so now that we've established our focal point or radiating point, what we're going to do is we're going to add these beautiful picks. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab a florist knife, and these are taped down. What you wanna do is you wanna go ahead and just do that to that tape. And when you cut down, just cut against it. Don't never do it towards you. So that way you can get rid of all of that tape that is holding all of this beautiful product together. These are premium picks, you guys. I wish you could see them in person. They look so real. They are like molded to a real pine. Oops, a tag, we don't want that. And you just have to like pull them apart like this, and look, they just kind of pull apart, and you can then distribute all of this beautiful product into your wreath. So now we have all those pretty things. But I'm gonna start with this beautiful pine with a red berry to kind of continue with the color of our theme, which is a little bit more rustic. And also the pine is very rustic to me. It reminds me of when I lived in Kansas, all of that pine there. All right, so now I'm gonna do is put a pick on it, add some glue, and then I'm gonna start right here on the bottom, just opening my ribbons. What I'm going to do is add some of that pine. Remember, what goes up must come down, and you have to know how many you have, so that way you distribute throughout your wreath evenly. So I started on the bottom, now I'm gonna go on the top, adding some glue. Ooh, I'm having so much fun with this hot glue gun. Isn't that funny? I'm gonna go right here, like that. And then I'm gonna grab one more. Remember, I have 5, so I have to know that one on the top, one on the bottom, and then we're gonna go back to a radiating point and insert some from there. If you guys don't have a pick machine, let me tell you, get one. If you are doing this for a business, it really does help to create beautiful, beautiful product, and you don't have to struggle a lot, which if you try to make my job easier, I'm all for that. And when I worked in the flower industry, this was one of the first tricks that I learned. It helps with your mechanics, and then you don't have to struggle into poking into the grapevine. All right, so I have one here. I'm gonna go and add one right over here. And because it has that steel, then it really does help to poke in. See how it's all radiating? So I have one, I actually have 2 left, so yay. Yay for me. And for whoever gets this one. You guys, I'm having so much fun putting all of these wreaths on Etsy, and thank you so much to everybody that has bought one. I am so excited to know that there's people out there in Illinois with a Ramon at home wreath. It just means so much to me that you guys are actually supporting my little adventure. And the reason why I did it is because you guys can continue to ask, do you sell that? Do you sell that? Well, now I do. So go visit the shop. Like I said, that link is going to be down below. And there's so many pretty ones right now. All right, so I'm going to now add one right here to finish. I'm going to put some glue in here. And I'm going to go right about here. Just make sure you push that really good. And look how good that looks. Now, the reason why this works is because this is a rustic look, right? So you have to be a little bit more on the pine side. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce my beautiful poinsettias with the jingle bells. And I'm going to fluff them a little bit so they're a little bigger. I'm only going to add 2. Even the poinsettia, I'm going to cut and add a pick to it. Because like I said, the pick makes it so much easier. It won't bend. If you try to put the stem of the poinsettia just in the form, it'll bend and it'll be so hard for you guys to do that. So what I'm going to do is just add some glue to my pick. I'm gonna grab my poinsettia from the middle of it. I'm gonna go right here. I'm going to add her right in here. Like that. And then we fluff like this. And so I'm gonna add the other one right here. And I'll tell you, I have 3, but I'll tell you why I only want to use 2 in just 1 second. You don't wanna take away from that bow, number 1. And number 2, we're still going to use the 3rd one, but we're going to use it in a very different way. So I'm gonna add this guy right here. And see how that kind of becomes part of the bow? You can fluff like that. We have our bow. We have our poinsettias, and now what I'm going to do with this particular one, I'm going to grab my knife once again, and I want to take it apart. So I'm going to make sure that I don't cut myself. First of all, be careful when you do stuff like this. But this, you know, we used to use these flowers for corsage work, and so that's where I learned how to do these things, where we used to be creative and just take things apart. And so then what you can do is pull these guys like this. So we're gonna just take the whole, the first one is the hard one, but look, once you start taking it apart, then you can literally just pull that wire and they came right out. I think maybe 1 more, 2 more, that'll be it. All right. So what you wanna do with these guys right here is bend the wire down. You're gonna put a little pick on it. And we're gonna individually insert these guys into our wreath. So I'm gonna put some up here. Let's see. Like that, see, it's gonna now extend the shape of our wreath or our poinsettias, but you have to make sure that you put a pick because we want to have something that goes into the form and attaches to the rest of it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add one right here. Look at that. And so I'm gonna do, this is so much fun. I'm having a blast coming up with these ideas for you guys. And I really hope, I cannot wait to read your comments. So let me know, have you guys ever replicated any of the looks here on the channel? What I like to do sometimes is like add 2, but just make sure you stagger them like that. Let me see, I'm gonna add some under the bow. I always like to add something on the bow, so that way it looks more full. And look how fast it is. This is not taking me more than like, however this video lasts is how much or how long I took to make this wreath, you guys. So if I can do it, let me tell you, so can you. All right, let's see. I'm gonna add, should I add the jingle bells? Maybe in the middle of the bow. I decided that's what I want, I'm in the middle of the bow. So we're gonna split it and put those jingle bells, but we'll do it at the end. Don't let me forget, Jamison. Be like, hey, the jingle bells. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna add another one right here by the bow. Look at that, it's just creating that. It's adding all of the plaid and all of the rustiness that this wreath needs. And I'm gonna leave a few at the end so that way we can continue to add, which to me is, you know, this one I didn't get the pick, so I'm gonna put it on the side and do another one while that dries. If it didn't get the pick and you put glue on it, you guys, just put it on the side because you do not wanna put that on your pick machine because your pick machine will get glue all over it and then it's a mess. Let me just say that. All right, so add some glue to that. And I'm going to add one probably right here, like that. All right, so now I'm going to add some of this beautiful greenery, which is what's gonna really give it that rustic look, because it's all this rusty color greenery. It has that variegation to it, and it's just going to look so beautiful. And with this, what I'm going to do is, I'll just keep in mind what goes up must come down. So be sure to add all of those in a manner where you go one up, one down, one up, one down. And we have two of each because I had two picks. So keep in mind, if you put one up, make sure you put one down. So right now I'm gonna add the cedar, the flat cedar, and the berry up here on the top. I'm gonna go with this guy right here, all the way our cap. And look at that, oh, it's so pretty. So now I'm gonna look for the older berry. I think this is a juniper. It is so beautiful. It's so realistic. I'm gonna grab this juniper, and as you guys can see, that's why when you buy from anyone that sells handmade, is because every single piece is put by hand. And so unlike other places where you might go and buy it already made, which a machine made it, when you buy from a seller, then you're making sure that every single piece is touched by the hand, is put through the pick machine, is put through the glue. And so it's just one of a kind, because even if I was to make two of the same, it won't turn out the same, just because we won't place on the same spot. Look how pretty that is. Oh, it's so gorgeous. All right, so let me see. Now I'm gonna add this beautiful one right here. And I want it right under the bow to kind of give me some dimension. So I'm going to pick, I'm gonna cut the excess of this. We're almost done, so keep watching. I'm gonna finish this and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so before we finish this wreath, I wanna explain that I left two of this right here, and I went ahead and picked them together. Then also I'm gonna add some of these berries that is just gonna throw it over the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the last two of my plaid poinsettia foliages, and I'm going to go ahead and go all the way here to extend the shape of that plaid, and look at that, just like that. And so I'm gonna do one in the bottom as well. Oh, I already picked it. And I'm gonna add the glue to the pick like this, and I'm going to add right about here. Then you separate those like that. And so now you have all that going all the way down. Now these berries right here are also just taped together. So what we want to do is, let me see if I can just pull them apart. Sometimes they're so easy to pull apart. If you just pull like that. Oh, yeah, look at that. How easy is that? So we're going to pull apart 2, 3. So now we're going to have 6 of them. And we're going to be able to add to our tree. So what I want to do is I'm going to cut a little bit of that. I want them to be a little bit shorter. And remember, everything radiates from our bow. So we're going to start from our bow going down and up. So I'm going to grab one like this, and I'm going to add some glue. And once again, right there at the bow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up everything I have, and I'm just going to add that cute little berry. And make sure that goes on the form for sure. There you go. So there's one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do one side first, but I'm always going to remember that what goes up must come down. And since I already know that I only have 6, then I need to make sure that I put 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom, and then also stagger them like this. And then I'm gonna do, of course, one over here. We're gonna. Jingle bells, right? These are not the jingle bells. Okay. These are just the berries. We'll put the jingle bells in, but we're gonna make sure that that's gonna be our last little touch. So I'm gonna lift up all of this. I'm gonna add this one right here. And look how that just changed the look. It gave it that little glitter with the snow. Make sure you cut it a little short. And also 2 things. Make sure that it comes from the bow, stagger it as a ladder motion, and then go up and down. So now we're gonna lift up our bow right here, and we're going to add this guy right here. Make sure that goes into the form like that, and just adds a little bit of berry. And so now I have 2 left, and I'll do those 2. I'll add the jingle bells. I'll put it on the door and show you what it looks like. So keep watching. All right, you guys. So the last thing is I'm gonna add those jingle bells so you don't think that I forgot them. And so I'm gonna open my bow, and I'm just gonna go ahead and insert that right there, right in the middle. So it comes out of our bow, fluff the little bows. What I want to do is I'm also going to adjust my tail. So I feel like these are too long. I'm going to cut them a little short. I don't want them to compete with the rest of it. Also this one right here, like that. This one I'm gonna cut a little short so I can open my poinsettia. At this point, you just can basically rearrange everything, fluff everything, like my poinsettia right here. And just like that, we have a beautiful rustic wreath that I'm gonna put on the door and show you what it looks like. As you guys can see, this is a more rustic design that I came up with a lot of these beautiful buffalo check plaid ribbons and poinsettias with the jingle bells as the center. It has some mixture of pine and cedar and some beautiful berries with a frosted glitter, and they are absolutely gorgeous. This is such a rustic look. If you are more into the country, farmhouse, or just rustic, this is perfect. All right, you guys, well, I hope you enjoy and learn a few tricks on how to create a beautiful statement on your front door. Remember, this is more of a rustic look, but all you have to do is change the items, follow the technique, and you too can create a beautiful wreath this Christmas season 2022. If you are interested, remember, keep in mind to check my Etsy store. The link is going to be down below. I cannot wait to read your comments. So leave me a comment down below and let me know what is your favorite wreath you've ever done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Consider subscribing, and as always, you can watch more videos right now. Until next time, bye.